Balls for the first time in the 2022-2023 season as our FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week tips off here in the eastern portion of Calhoun County as the Wildcats of White Plains host the Oxford Yellow Jackets. And good evening, a happy Tuesday out there, and a happy basketball game day. James Hardy with you, and my man Jim Jacobs, and the rest of our FNN crew with you from the gymnasium at White Plains High School, also Richard Madden Court. So, Jim, as you know, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, when you get the season started, hope always springs eternal.
Well, absolutely, and of course, at this school, James, basketball is king. And, for White Plains to have a chance to host the biggest school in the county in Oxford, two coaches, two of the best in the area, and Chris Randall and Joel VanMeter, they're very good friends, and that's what makes this game happen. We've got a packed house on a nasty, rainy, what is this, a Tuesday night? I mean, I can't even keep up with what night of the week it is as you see the Wildcats warming up there on the floor in front of us. But this one ought to be tasty.
In fact, it's the season opener as well for White Plains, but the second game of the season for Oxford. So really kind of an interesting dynamic with one team already getting their season started over the weekend and the other getting things rolling tonight.
Well, James, they say that you play in November and December to get to Christmas to get ready for region play. Now, a lot of teams will play some region games before Christmas, but right now the first 3 or 4 weeks, and I mean, even some of these teams, not these two, but some of the teams in our area aren't even fully staffed because we've still got football going on.
In fact, quite a few schools around the area still have football season going as far as making deep runs in the playoffs. In fact, one of those teams in Anniston we'll be seeing on Friday night.
There you see it right there on your screen. A couple of A's going at it, a couple of Bulldogs going at it, Andalusia and Anniston. I got to tell you, James, I'm excited about that game, but right now I'm in my element. This is
there
me,
you
buddy.
go.
This is me. This is basketball, and this is it at its best.
I tell you who we would like to thank as well is our game sponsor. In fact, presenting in part tonight our FNN basketball game of the week is Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Cheers, and a big thanks to him for his support of FNN and high school sports in Calhoun County.
Yeah, Danny just won re-election a week ago, and of course he was appointed by, when the seat became vacant for Tim Hodges, and it's always good to win it the first time, and Danny did that the other day, and hopefully he told me he was going to be here tonight, and if he is, we're going to get a word with him at the break.
Very nice. Always nice, of course, if you're someone like Mr. Danny Shears, to get a little pat on the back from voters this time of the year. That's certainly something that the White Plains Wildcats, and the Oxford Yellow Jackets, for that matter, want a little pat on the back as far as from their coaches and their supporters as far as following tonight's game when it comes to getting a W in this part of the season. Let's go ahead. We'll take this time out, and we'll have more of our pregame leading up to tip-off of our inaugural FNN basketball game of the week for the 2022-2023 season here on the FNN High School basketball game of the week.
I'm Mark Box. I've been a part of the funeral industry for over 25 years. As a funeral professional, serving others is an integrated part of my life. It's been a privilege helping families in many ways throughout my career. As the owner of Anniston Memorial Funeral Home, Anniston Memorial Gardens, and Maple Grove Cemetery, I would like each of you to know that my staff and I are here to serve each of you during your time of need. We want you to feel comforted and honored as we memorialize the life of your loved one. I am grateful for the opportunity to give back within Calhoun County and our local communities. It is our hope and prayer that each family we meet feels cared for and loved.
Step into the offices of J. Britt Middlebrook, CPA, where you'll find professional one-on-one service for business and individual clients. In this ever-changing tax and economic climate, you can count on receiving the expert advice you need. J. Britt Middlebrook works hard to provide every client what they need to meet all deadlines. Tax season will be here soon. For all your accounting service needs, call or stop by at 1913 Berry Street in Oxford. That's J. Britt Middlebrook, CPA.
You understand how your business works, but you may not understand how insurance can work for your business. We have new businesses versus established in different industries. As most people know, that when you're going to an online company, you're calling a 1-800 number anytime you need anything. And if you have a local agent, then the local agent knows you and they understand the history. We can be there to help you out.
Griffin Laser Engraving in Lincoln is your authorized local dealer for personalized Yeti products. Get your Yeti customized for your team, a business, or a special event. Your color, graphics, even photos. At Griffin Laser Engraving, we make it the way you want it. Order just one or hundreds, and you'll find a full line of Yeti coolers and accessories on hand, even the hard-to-find items. Nationally recognized, but right here at home in Lincoln for quality awards, trophies, powder coating, and personalized Yeti items, Griffin Laser Engraving.
From White Plains High School, Coach Richard Madden basketball court inside the gymnasium here at White Plains High School for our inaugural game of the week when it comes to our high school basketball coverage for 2022-2023. James Hardy, and at midcourt is our very own Jim Jacobs.
Joins us, and Coach, I guess the first question is, what's it like with the new squad?
Very young, very inexperienced, but a great group of guys that you like being around every day, and we're just plugging every single day trying to get a little bit better.
You guys play in some awfully big gymnasiums, being a 6A school, but the atmosphere in this place tonight's pretty special.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better. We came over here 3-4 years ago, and Simeon Shadrick hit a shot in the corner to win the game. And I said that night, that's as good as atmosphere as I've been around. And I feel like they have it all the time because I watch Chris on film, and it seems like it's like this every night. So I told our guys to just embrace the opportunity to play in front of this atmosphere because you don't get it a lot today in high school.
Talk a little bit about your leaders. Who's going to have to step in, and take like Ryland's place?
Well, you don't take Ryland Houck's place, first of all. You try to plug some people in, but Ryland was very special. Brock Reeves has been a great senior for us, really come along as a player and got himself a lot better. He provides a lot of leadership, and then quietly our freshman Jalen Alexander, because he's been played so many minutes, and then Jaden Lewis, a sophomore. So those guys are who we're going to lean on a lot, and they've done a great job so far, just making sure every day we're doing the things that we need to do to get better.
Joel, obviously you guys want to win this thing, but what do you take away this early in the season playing in a game like this?
I do we get better. We played Saturday at Central Phoenix City, lost 55-52. Their area is to get better, and that's what I told Chris. I said, I'm not looking at the scoreboard tonight. I'm just trying to see, can we get better in a couple of phases of the game because we're so young, so that we want to be playing our best. He wants to be playing his best in February. Right now, these are just taking steps to be able to get there. So can we play a little bit better and maybe execute a little bit better offensively and defensively?
Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, thanks.
We just had our pregame visit with Oxford head coach Joel VanMeter before tonight's ball game. And so we'd like to thank once again Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Shears for presenting in part tonight's FNN High School basketball game of the week. And Jalen Alexander, the freshman, will be getting the start at point guard. And as you heard Coach VanMeter talk about, one of his best athletes as far as on the team this year. And this is an Oxford Yellow Jackets varsity basketball team that only has one senior on the roster this year. So we appreciate you for joining us as we're getting closer to tip-off, and let's send it back down to Jim Jacobs.
All right, thanks a lot, James. Coach, just a couple of minutes real quick here, but I know you got to get with your kids. What an atmosphere.
Yeah, it's neat. We appreciate Oxford coming in, and they really don't play anybody else in the county, but come play us. It means a lot to us, and our folks really come out every other year. It's a big deal.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Jim.
And our very own Jim Jacobs, as we are just about ready to roll out the red carpet for our starting lineups for tonight's ball game. But first, our national anthem. Our national anthem from Coach Richard Madden basketball court here inside the gymnasium at White Plains High School. As we've heard from both coaches, for Oxford, Joel VanMeter, and for White Plains, their head coach as well. And Jim, you kind of got the keys for both coaches for tonight's ball game. What are some of your keys that you have for these teams for tonight as you see the rosters first for Oxford and then we'll see White Plains?
Absolutely. You know, for both of them, I think they just want to play, James, and use the opportunity to get better. White Plains is not going to play a much better basketball team in the area that they're in than the Oxford Yellow Jackets. In fact, Oxford, you know, you got to give Joel VanMeter a lot of credit for coming in here and playing this game. It's a no-win deal for him other than the atmosphere of you know, coming in here, because the game is all about a lot of momentum for White Plains if they can win it. I mean, you heard Coach VanMeter talk about the shot from over in the right wing, a three-pointer with a foul that Solomon Shadrick's hit, I think, the last time we were here. Just an incredible memory for the White Plains folks.
And, well, this is the second of 3 consecutive road trips, Jim, for Oxford to start out the season. So I think Coach VanMeter as well wants to kind of test his team's toughness as far as playing on the road.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you got to get out there and you got to do defense. You got to get the job done.
And then
it was Simeon, right? Simeon Shadricks that hit the shot, not Solomon. Simeon.
And then, especially with this being the first game of the regular season for White Plains, what do you think, Jim, they need to do to come out on top?
I think they've got to play tough. You know, Chris Randall has a habit, James, of overachieving with the talent he has to work with. They normally get out of the gate really fast. You know, White Plains is a team that you kind of wonder what they're going to be like come mid-January when it comes time for the Calhoun County tournament. We've seen them kind of lose a little gas from time to time, you know, because they start so fast. You know, Coach Randall takes them to camp out of state. They do a lot of things that just really make them go early. So he's going to want to see them play tough. Oxford's going to put some D on them that, you know, Clorox won't get off. So it's going to be really important, I think, for White Plains to establish themselves early, take advantage of this home court crowd as we get ready to get the ball in the air, and here we go.
In fact, we are underway as Cremation Services of East Alabama presents our first quarter tonight for the FNN High School basketball game of the week. The Oxford Yellow Jackets have it first with Jalen Alexander, the do-everything point guard, driving as he'll turn it over. Good start defensively by White Plains as they'll have it off to our right. And throwing it out of bounds is the Wildcats as both teams exchange turnovers to begin the ball game. Not really too surprising that you have a little bit of sloppiness this early in the season for both teams.
Not at all, James. And, you know, one thing you're not going to see in this game, you're not going to see a lot of zone play. These guys like to get down nose to nose and get after one another, and that's what you're going to see, and both teams open up man-to-man.
You have Brock Reeves, T.J. Allen, Jalen Alexander, Jaden Lewis, 4 of the 5 starters. Here's a nice turnaround in the paint for 2 for T.J. Allen.
Allen rubbed his man off, posted up, spun around, and knocked down the little short 10-footer.
It's Paul Lobby along with Z.J. Rosario, Josh Wheeler, Daniel Williams, and Luke Bussey that are the starters for White Plains. Played a little bit more than 1 minute here in the first quarter of our opening FNN high school basketball game of the week. This is also the very first game of the season for White Plains and the second of the year for Oxford as the Yellow Jackets come up with a steal. Here's Allen getting stripped out of bounds off of White Plains.
Yeah, nice step-in defense right there. Pass was a little soft, James. You got to rip that thing in there when you're going to throw it in there through hands like that.
So it looks as if Jalen Alexander, just a freshman, already 6'1", 165, and still a lot of physical growing to do for Alexander. Here's Lewis missing the bank shot as White Plains comes up with the rebound. White Plains in the white tops as here's the triple up and no good for Rosario as a rebounding foul underneath the basket. Looks as if it's on Oxford. So they're going to call that foul on Jaden Lewis, his first personal foul. As we already have a final so far today as Weaver defeats Munford 42-39 as a steal for Oxford. Here's a breakaway as going in and laying it in for 2 will be T.J. Allen.
White Plains didn't get back. Oxford with a 3-0 breakout there.
So it's Allen with all 4 points so far tonight as we played more than 2 minutes of the first quarter. Wheeler has the ball. And still that man-to-man, a tight man-to-man at that for Oxford in their black tops and bottoms.
Yeah, Oxford's going to play you nose to nose, James, and they're going to play you chin up all the way out to the half-court line. You don't get any breath.
And here's another whistle and a foul. The second team foul coming up for Oxford as you have the first personal foul, looks like for Caleb Sanders into the ball game. Jaden Lewis with the other personal foul for Oxford.
About 2.5 minutes into this one and no points yet for the Wildcats, James.
Still early on, however, as you have Bussey with the ball at the near wing. Top the key is Rosario as he'll try and put it on the floor. Outstanding defense so far, man-to-man for Oxford. Here's a good look for 3 in the corner. That's an air ball. Solid offensive rebound, but the putback is no good. As the rebound going to Lobby, cleaning up his own miss and going to the line for 2. Good scrappy effort that time on the offensive end of the floor, especially on the glass for White Plains, as they'll try to get on the board with a couple of free throws.
And that's what VanMeter's not going to be happy with, the fact that White Plains got 3 shots at it with his guys not getting their hands on the basketball.
T.J. Allen on the foul as Lobby hits the first of 2 free throws, as we'll have substitutions. Carter Johnson and Dylan Barksdale checking in for the first time this season for White Plains.
And that's something you'll see from Coach Randall throughout this matchup. He is quick to go to his bench, and he'll use a lot of people. I think they dress 12. You'll probably see at least 11 of them in the rotation.
Well, as you know, that always makes the mamas and the daddies in the gym very happy as well. Both free throws good for Lobby, as it's now a 4-2 game early, as a good block inside for Barksdale off the bench as he comes up with the loose ball. He'll drive in the paint, gets cut off on outstanding help defenses. Here's the 3, no good for Bussey, as the rebound goes to Caleb Sanders as he'll step on the end line across the way. So a turnover for Oxford, as it'll be a chance to tie or with a 3 take their first lead for White Plains.
This quarter, of course, presented by Cremation Services of East Alabama as we come to you live from the Palace on the Plains.
For more information about them, you can visit Cremation Services of East Alabama at alabamacremationservices.com or give them a call at 256-403-6257. 4:40 left in the opening quarter as White Plains looking to tie or take their first lead. Wheeler hands it off as the drive and a foul on the way to the basket for Oxford.
That's going to be key to loosening up Oxford's man-to-man tight defense is penetrate and kick back out.
Jordan Kelly with his first foul, and already now up to 4 team fouls for Oxford. So here's a good look at a wide open three, but stepping on the sideline across the way was Josh Wheeler.
Wheeler's the three-ball specialist for Chris Randall. He can knock the lights out of it, and if he gets going, he can put up double figures in a hurry.
Cremation Services of East Alabama presents our first quarter as they invite you to discover what has made them the ultimate provider of cremation services in our area. They can save you from 30 to 75% over a traditional funeral home, as arrangements can be made online 100% safe, and there's no hidden fees. And for more information, visit them at alabamacremationservices.com. Oxford with the basketball, still holding on to a 4-2 lead in what's been a scrappy defensive ball game so far. Good fake, and the three ball up and no good for Brock Reeves as a rebounding foul on the Oxford Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, White Plains good position there. Oxford defender came in, crashed over his back. White Plains will get it on the defensive turnover.
And that's going to be the second personal foul for TJ Allen, so he's going to have to take a seat with 2 personal fouls. So full court pressure for the Yellow Jackets. First time we've seen that today as the ball goes out of bounds off of Oxford. So it looked as if that White Plains had a little bit of trouble that time trying to negotiate the double team on the far side. So White Plains maintains control of the basketball as Luke Bussey, one of 3 seniors for White Plains this year, brings it up the floor. Rosario back in the game as Bussey for the 3. That's no good. But the rebound goes to White Plains as here's an open 3 look. That's in and out, no good. Rebound going to Oxford as it'll be Callaway into the ball game. Deshaun Callaway, his first time so far tonight, as here's the mid-range jumper, no good for Jaden Lewis as the rebound goes to Dylan Barksdale. White Plains.
Nobody in the paint at all that time for Oxford on the offensive glass.
Here's Wheeler, the three-point specialist, dribbling. 3:22 left opening quarters. The 3 up and good at the far side. Bussey with the 3 as White Plains has their first lead of the season. Approaching the 3-minute mark left in the opening quarter. Cremation Services of East Alabama presents our opening quarter as Alexander gets cut off. Out to Reeves, he'll drive, dumps it down to Lewis as he'll get fouled and have 2 free throws.
Yeah, he got hammered.
So nice job of ball movement in attacking the basket that time for Oxford as they'll have a chance for 2 free throws. And it's been a very physical, a very active game so far on both sides defensively.
Absolutely. Well, I told you in the pregame, James, these two will get after each other. No question about it. As Jaden Lewis toes the line, he'll shoot 2 and he knocks down the first.
First one in, as he'll have another one coming that will tie the game at 5 apiece. Dylan Barksdale with some solid minutes off the bench will return to the bench for Chris Randall's White Plains White Plains Wildcats rather, as the Oxford Yellow Jackets take the lead as Lewis makes both of his free throws. He's on the board with his first 2 points. White Plains nearly turning it over, but they do break the pressure. Back in the ball game is Lobby as here's the 3 up and no good for Bussey as the rebound going to Oxford. Sanders for Oxford with the basketball as Alexander stops and pops and scores.
Got it.
Outstanding pull-up jumper that time by Alexander.
Nice one-on-one work right there.
Here's behind the defense, White Plains with a layup that's good, and going to the free throw line for a three-point play will be Z.J. Rosario.
And that all came off that outlet pass right there, James.
So Rosario on the board as he'll have a chance to tie it up with a free throw, as you'll have a couple substitutions, including Silas Hines checking in for the first time tonight for White Plains.
This will be Rosario's second trip to the stripe.
And he'll make the free throw. And so it'll be an 8-8 tie, as this is at least the next team to make a basket. We'll have our third lead change of the first quarter. Alexander, good ball handling skills there. His driving will be Callaway as he'll lay it in down the baseline for two. A nice drive that time by Deshaun Callaway, scoring his first points of the ball game. As White Plains gets into their half court and throws it away. Reeves on the steal as he'll drive, dumps it down, and we have a loose ball out of bounds off of White Plains. I don't know, I think on that fast break there, Jim, that Reeves might have just wanted to keep that himself and finish it off himself.
Yeah, I think you just, try to go get it. If nothing else, get to the line.
So Oxford does keep possession of the basketball, however, as Caleb Sanders has the basketball at the point. Reeves will dump it down to Jaden Lewis as he'll turn, go baseline, lays it up with the reverse layup, no good, and the rebound goes to White Plains.
Yeah, got too far under, couldn't do anything with it.
Wildcats with the basketball as we're under 90 seconds left in the opening quarter.
It's been fast.
Rosario has it poked away out of bounds by Caleb Sanders for Oxford, as we'll have Jordan Kelly checking in for the Yellow Jackets. And exiting will be Jaden Lewis. Jaden Lewis leaves with one foul, but also a couple of points, as checking in will be Carter Johnson, the junior forward for White Plains. And checking out will be Daniel Williams. Oxford 10 and White Plains 8. Still late in the first quarter, as White Plains with the basketball going against some tough man-to-man Yellow Jackets defense for Oxford. Here's Rosario kicking out as the three up and no good for Barksdale, and the rebound goes to Oxford. They want to push the tempo as Callaway misses the layup, but he'll have two free throws on a White Plains blocking foul. Looks as if they're going to call, I believe, Paul Lobby for the blocking foul, and indeed it'll be on him, his first, and that'll be the team's third for White Plains. Free throw up and good for Callaway as he makes his first free throw. Josh Wheeler back into the ball game for White Plains. Solid ball game so far. This is the season opener for White Plains, and Oxford playing their second game of the year, looking for their first win of the year as Callaway makes both free throws. Oxford with their largest lead of the night, up 4. Under a minute to go in the opening quarter. Cremation Services of East Alabama, our first quarter sponsor. Also, Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Shears presents our FNN High School basketball game of the week tonight. Here's the kick out. Three up for Bussey and good.
Got it. Man, I think Bussey's got the green light, James, whenever he feels like he's got the opportunity.
That's the one player that Coach Joel VanMeter was very concerned about tonight. Bussey, according to VanMeter, one of the best individual players that Oxford will see this year on their schedule. Ball goes out of bounds off of White Plains, so Bussey with the three now has 6 points, and it's just a 1-point lead with 12.6 seconds to go. As Jalen Alexander, the freshman point guard, checks back in for Oxford. Also, you'll have Josh Wheeler come back out for the final 12.6 seconds. As Lobby back in the ball game. So Oxford will have that chance to hold for the final shot as Reeves will drive toward the basket, and he'll get fouled before dumping the pass down to number 5, Jordan Kelly. So it'll be a holding foul and not a shooting foul, I do not think, and no it won't, as you'll have a couple substitutions as Wheeler and Coleman Ray will check in for White Plains. Jalen Alexander to inbound underneath the basket to our left. Alexander finds a wide open little mid-range jumper for Sanders. That's good for two. Down to 2 seconds as here's a three up and no good for Coleman Ray as we go to the second quarter with a back and forth first quarter as it is Oxford leading 14-11 on the FNN High School basketball game of the week.
The tire, arguably the most important part of a car. Without it, we could not stop, we could not go, we couldn't drive at all. They come in all sizes, brands, treads, prices, and ratings. How do you know which is the right tire for you? Thankfully, there's Cobb Automotive, and they have been answering this question since 1981. With a large selection of brands and sizes in stock, you are sure to get the right tire for the right price. Cobb Automotive, located on Highway 21 across from Walmart in Oxford, and 2001 Quintard Avenue in Anniston.
Second quarter action about to get underway as the second quarter of the FNN High School basketball game of the week for tonight, presented by Dorman Reynolds Insurance in Anniston. For a personalized local agent experience, visit Chris Reynolds and the team at Dorman Reynolds for all your personal, auto, or business insurance needs. White Plains has the basketball as they're down 3, as Bussey has to pass it out to Rosario, who misses the 3, and Jaden Lewis with the rebound.
Scott and snatched that thing down with 2 hands, just the way he's taught to do it.
Looked like a college rebounder, too, as going up with it strong. Here's a runner for Allen, no good, as the rebound going to White Plains. White Plains wants to run. Barksdale in the ball game as Rosario nearly loses it. In fact, a loose ball and a turnover, and now a jump ball situation. As looks as if the possession arrow will send it over to Oxford.
Good defense made that happen.
Outstanding defense indeed tonight for Oxford, really for both teams, as it's been a hard-fought first quarter and change now as we're just underway in the second quarter. A little more than 30 seconds played here in the second quarter, as Alexander has to back it out against solid man-to-man defense for White Plains. Lewis nearly travels with the basketball that time, but Oxford staying patient and will have a whistle and a timeout called for by Oxford. Joel VanMeter calls his first timeout of the ball game. Let's take the timeout with him here on the FNN High School basketball game of the week. Presented by Dorman Reynolds Insurance in Anniston. For a personalized local agent experience, visit Chris Reynolds and the team at Dorman Reynolds for all your personal, auto, or business insurance needs. And tonight's game is presented in part by Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Shears.
Yeah, Joel VanMeter called that timeout in a hurry. He didn't like something he saw, so he grabbed the chalkboard, so to speak, and got his kids over there and made an adjustment. Oh, there's a nice pass.
And a good pump fake in the finish for Jordan Kelly, his first bucket of the ball game.
Very close to being an and one as well.
So under 7 minutes to go until halftime. The season opener for White Plains. Oxford, their second game of the season. Oxford lost 55-52 on the road Saturday to open the season at Central Phoenix City. So driving will be Wheeler as he'll get cut off and tries to bowl his way down the lane. as White Plains salvages the possession. Of course, with no shot clock, still plenty of time as far as getting an offensive attack going, as White Plains wants to call the timeout as Chris Randall uses his first timeout of the ball game.
This is a 30, so we'll keep it right here. Want to remind everybody now, Friday night we will be at Lott Mosby Memorial Stadium. It is the quarterfinal round of the 4A playoffs as the unbeaten Anniston Bulldogs host the 11-1 Andalusia Bulldogs in what should be a slobber knocker.
And I know, Jim, from what you told me, this will be the first trip for Andalusia up to Calhoun County since all the way back in 1977.
Yeah, I believe they were on the hill at Welborn playing for a state championship, if I'm not mistaken. That's what somebody told me the other day. But Andalusia's the real deal, so we should see a tremendous football game Friday night.
We'll be on at 6:30 as far as our FNN NFHS game of the week at Anniston. Here's a steal, and the layup no, putback no, as the rebound goes to White Plains as they are able to escape giving up a 2-point bucket in transition. Here's Barksdale with the basketball as Wheeler will penetrate, turns, shoots, and scores in the paint. Good body control that time by Josh Wheeler as he was able to get himself free for about a little 10-foot floater.
Yeah, the cross dribble's what got him free.
So here's Oxford with the ball as the three for TJ Allen pops out, no good. Solid rebound that time by Daniel Williams for White Plains. Here's Barksdale in the corner as he almost gets his pocket picked as he'll throw the ball away.
Yep.
Throws the ball away, intended for Luke Bussey, but aggressive defense that time by Jalen Alexander forcing the mistake, Jim. So seeing actually quite a few mistakes so far on offense for White Plains. As once again, something not to be unexpected as far as the first game jitters, getting the season debut underway as far as White Plains goes. Here's the three ball. The Rainmaker's no good as a hard fight for the rebound. And it'll be a jump ball situation, I do believe. And this time should give the ball over. Well, let's find out what they do with it. I believe White Plains should have the basketball, as we'll have substitution. Checking out will be Silas Hines. As White Plains using some more of their substitutions, at least more of their bench so far in the first half. Looks like ZJ Rosario, back in the ball game, as at halftime, Jacksonville trailing to Spain Park 37-24.
We just saw a play right there where the Oxford defender took the basketball. I don't know if the White Plains.
It was close to the bench.
Yeah.
The White Plains bench. So what I'm guessing is that White Plains touched it out of bounds, giving it to Oxford. So Oxford has the basketball, as dribbling it off his foot is Deshaun Callaway for the Yellow Jackets turnover. Luke Bussey trying to drive, crosses over, and now he'll shoot the three ball and score. That was a very nice playground move that time by Luke Bussey, shaking and baking and then making the three.
You got a feeling that maybe he's got a little confidence.
Yeah, certainly was making that type of a move. About halfway through the first half. Here's the rain-making three, good for TJ Allen.
Both teams starting to warm up.
Allen with his first three as he's up to 7. Driving will be Wheeler as he gets cut off by Allen. Here's an NBA three for Bussey. That's no good. Yeah, he's starting to feel it a little bit as White Plains gets the board. As Williams pump fakes and misses the layup on outstanding defense, as getting the block and the board is Jaden Lewis. Alexander almost throws it away, but gets it back. He'll try and drive against Rosario. Oxford settling down is now Allen in the paint. Has to dump it off to Reeves, back to Allen. Allen finding Callaway, open, no good though on the three. As the rebound goes to Daniel Williams for White Plains. White Plains in the white tops and bottoms as Bussey gets triple teamed and fouled on the play.
Yeah, Bussey trying to penetrate that time and make something happen.
Jalen Alexander on the personal, as that will be the 7th team foul for the Oxford Yellow Jackets and the first personal for Alexander. So it's been a close ball game ever since we got this game started, as Oxford's largest lead has been 4 so far tonight. 1-1 for Luke Bussey, as he'll make the first of 2. So Bussey now, I have him up in double figures with 10. And make it 11 as he makes both ends of the 1-1. So still a competitive ball game as we're approaching 3.5 minutes left in the first half. Oxford trying to work their half-court offense. As driving will be Allen, lays it up and scoops it in for 2. Nice drive that time by TJ Allen to get the layup. Saw the opening, charged down to the lane, and was able to scoop it over the defense for 2. White Plains trying to answer, as Bussey thinking about the 3 against Jalen Alexander, as he'll shoot the 18-footer, no, and the rebound going to Oxford. Rebound that time by Jordan Kelly, as the Yellow Jackets slow it down. Alexander trying to back his way in, and now he lays it up and in for 2 on an outstanding move, one-on-one against his defender.
Oxford presses the advantage out to 5.
Jalen Alexander with 4 as a loose ball, and the steal going to Brock Reeves. It'll be Jalen Alexander controlling the point as he'll dribble with the basketball. Far wing Sanders. Now he'll shoot the 3 ball. That's too far, too long, and the rebound, however, will go out of bounds off of White Plains. 2 substitutions, Daniel Williams and Silas Hines checking in for White Plains. And back in will be Jay Lewis. Norman Reynolds Insurance in Anniston presents our second quarter here on the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week. 2 minutes, 23 seconds until halftime. Here's Reeves for the NBA 3, no. As a loose ball rebound going to Oxford's Callaway. The Yellow Jackets want to calm it down as now Jalen Alexander gets it stripped. Back tapped, however, by Rosario for White Plains.
Man, Rosario's got some quick hands.
Here's the 3 ball up and good for the perimeter shooter in Deshaun Callaway. His first 3.
And there's Coach Randall getting a timeout. He doesn't want to see this game get to double digits.
It's 26-18 as the visiting Oxford Yellow Jackets come up with their largest lead so far of the night. And really, you look at it, they've been able to do it with their defense. Very solid defense tonight, and their offense seems as if it's just starting to pick up.
Absolutely.
Our second quarter presented by Norman Reynolds Insurance in Anniston, and also our game presented in part by Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Shears. James Hardy and Jim Jacobs with you, and the rest of our FNN crew from White Plains High School, Coach Richard Madden basketball court inside of the White Plains Gymnasium.
Hey, we want to say hello to Coach Raphael Graves, who was supposed to be wearing this headset tonight, but he got hung with daddy duty. He's got a sick little boy, and, well, I had to step in and take his spot tonight.
Unfortunately, this time of the year really most of the time kind of kick-starts the cold and flu season, but that's really been aggressive as far as the fall season in the South and really all throughout the country.
It hit my house.
At this point, whose house hasn't it hit?
Yeah.
Less than 2 minutes to go until halftime. Here's a nice backdoor cut as Barksdale not able to shoot it as Bussey for the 3. That's no good, and the rebound going to Jayden Lewis. Very strong rebound in traffic that time by Lewis as Alexander will walk it up the floor. Alexander against Bussey, drives by him, gets
nice
it stripped. As Lewis has it, as he'll turn, banks it off the glass and in for 2 on an aggressive low post move.
Absolutely. It's a 10-point advantage now for the Jackets as we wind down this second quarter.
Here's Wheeler getting fouled. A little hand check action that time by Brock Reeves. Reeves on the personal foul, so it'll be a 1-and-1 situation for Josh Wheeler, the junior guard. Season opener for the White Plains Wildcats as the Oxford Yellow Jackets having their largest lead of the night. First of a 1-and-1 is good for Wheeler. Wheeler with his first free throw. Second of 2 up and good. So Josh Wheeler unofficially with 5.
White Plains needs a stop here and a basket before the break. Get this thing back around 5 or 6 points.
And we have a pushing foul and a little extracurricular activity for both Jalen Alexander and ZJ Rosario.
Coach Randall walking his player back to the bench.
It's a little aggressive defense coming up the floor for Rosario as he was called for the bumping foul, and then really an exchange of bumps you had between Alexander and Rosario. So we'll see how this situation sorted out by our trio of AHSAA Zebras for tonight.
Let's see what we get.
I'll tell you what, this officiating crew did a very nice job of diffusing the situation and getting the players separated.
Got in there in a hurry, didn't they?
Absolutely. So you would think in a situation like this that as far as just making a statement that the officials probably will assess double technicals on that little extracurricular activity.
Either that or a no call. But I got a feeling you got to call something. As the official here at the table in front of us.
A reminder that our second quarter brought to you by Dorman Reynolds Insurance in Anniston. For a personalized local agent experience, visit Chris Reynolds and the team at Dorman Reynolds for all your personal auto or business insurance needs. So a little chippiness as far as a late second quarter action after a bumping foul, a reach-in foul was called on White Plains. As they'll inbound the ball, will Oxford with 1:04 left until halftime.
No technicals.
So really no harm, no foul, as the officials were able to kind of break things up very quickly. Under a minute left in the opening quarter, or in the opening half rather, as the Yellow Jackets have the basketball and working it around the perimeter, as Alexander now at the low block. Will pass it back out to Sanders. Caleb Sanders with solid minutes for Oxford tonight off the bench, as Alexander drives and misses the layup, but the putback there on the offensive rebound for Jaden Lewis.
And Oxford's lead is 10 as we go under 25 seconds here in the quarter.
Looks as if that White Plains wants to hold the basketball for the final shot. Man-to-man defense as it's been all night for Oxford. As Wheeler back to Bussey with 10. Bussey probably going to hold for the shot, final shot. As Bussey gets the return pass and shoots the three ball, that's no good. A loose ball rebound goes to Oxford as we come to halftime with the Yellow Jackets leading 30-20 on solid, stifling man-to-man defense so far in the first half. We go to halftime. We'll take the timeout. Oxford 30 and White Plains 20 here on the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week.
Dudley Miller, President of Cremation Services of East Alabama. You know, I've spent nearly 40 years in the funeral business, and over the years I have seen countless people struggle to pay the associated cost of services. So in 2015, my wife and I purchased this historic church in the White Plains community of Anniston, where we opened a funeral home dedicated to providing affordable funeral care. For example, a direct cremation is $8.95, which includes transportation up to 75 miles, filing the death certificate, state-required containers, providing notification to Social Security. Having served families throughout the entire state of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee, it has been proven that we can save you thousands of dollars off of your total cost of services. For more information, visit our website, alabamacrematory.com, or call us today to discuss your affordable funeral care options.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is the home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99, then bring it for free refills throughout the year. And save every day with your Grub Mart Super Saver card. When you're on the go, it's good to know Grub Mart has everything you need. Gas, diesel, and delicious Oleo donuts. In business over 78 years, visit your local Grub Mart today.
Advantage Tire and Alignment on Highway 202 in Anniston is so much more than just a new tire and rim shop. There's not enough time in this ad to tell you all the many things they can do to help keep your car in tip-top shape. Advantage Tire uses ASE certified technicians, so you know any work done is top-notch. Bottom line, if it needs repaired or replaced, they can probably do the job and save you money. And when it comes time for new or used tires and rims, Advantage Tire and Alignment prices just can't be beat. Stop in and see Bruce and the crew today. Advantage Tire and Alignment. Step into the offices of J. Britt Middlebrook, CPA, where you'll find professional one-on-one service for business and individual clients. In this ever-changing tax and economic climate, you can count on receiving the expert advice you need. J. Britt Middlebrook works hard to provide every client what they need to meet all deadlines. Tax season will be here soon. For all your accounting service needs, call or stop by at 1913 Berry Street in Oxford. That's J. Britt Middlebrook, CPA.
I'm Mark Box. I've been a part of the funeral industry for over 25 years. As a funeral professional, serving others is an integrated part of my life. It's been a privilege helping families in many ways throughout my career. As the owner of Anniston Memorial Funeral Home, Anniston Memorial Gardens, and Maple Grove Cemetery, I would like each of you to know that my staff and I are here to serve each of you during your time of need. We want you to feel comforted and honored as we memorialize the life of your loved one. I am grateful for the opportunity to give back within Calhoun County and our local communities. It is our hope and prayer that each family we meet feels cared for and loved.
And welcome back to White Plains High School. Halftime, the Oxford Yellow Jackets take a 10-point advantage to the locker room, and it's our pleasure now to welcome in Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears, fresh off a win of his own. How's it feel?
Man, it feels fantastic. I tell you, to be appointed by the governor is one thing, but to be voted in by the people in your district, I mean, I'm very humbled and grateful, I'll tell you that.
Well, of course, Danny, there is so many things going on in Calhoun County right now, and most of it's positive. Tell the folks out there watching, what's going on in Calhoun County that's a big deal.
Well, those of us that have lived here all of our lives, I'm 55 now, and this is all I've ever known, but I'm smart enough to know that this is a special place. We've got so many good things to do, from outdoor activities to arts. I mean, you got the Oxford Performing Arts Center, you got JSU, you've got Chocolaca Park, as far as the sporting venue, Chief Ladaga Trail. We've got the horse trails now out at McClellan that brings in people from all over. We've got the bike trails. But the people in this county are just unbelievable. If we ever put out something that we need volunteers for, people will line up to help out, and a lot of times they not only help out with their time, but they give of their resources too.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as you look around the area and you see how things continue to evolve, I don't know who had the first idea for Chocolaca Park, but dang, they need a pat on the back.
Well,
because I know a lot of people question the money being spent there to start with, but when you look now, Danny, at what that resource has meant to this community, and looking ahead, what it will continue to mean to us in the years ahead, it's just incredible.
Incredible is an often used word, but I mean it is so fitting with that, the vision of that 10 years ago to build that park and spend $28 million on it. You're thinking, my goodness, you'll never recoup that. But let me tell you, back last May when we hosted the state softball and baseball championships, on top of all the other college tournaments we had. I remember being in a meeting with Mayor Alton Craft, and he said in June that the revenue, the sales tax revenue for May was just as good as a normal December for Oxford. And that tells you how much money was spent by people from around the state and around the southeast coming into Oxford, staying in the hotels, eating at the restaurants, buying gas, going to Target, going to Walmart. And, man, it's incredible. And then when you got those resources coming in, Jim, then you're able to have state-of-the-art EMS, state-of-the-art fire and police protection. And, I mean, Oxford has got it going on, as they say nowadays. But you can't rest on your laurels. There's always things coming up.
You know, and I think, Danny, a testament to how used that facility is you've got the stuff in North Anniston, the softball park there. You guys have put a lot back to basically bringing that back to life.
We have. The county took that over about 3 years ago now, a couple of years before I started serving on the commission. But I'm one of the ones that's a big supporter of Woodland Park. Most people don't realize this, but we've got a softball tournament every weekend at Woodland Park from the last weekend in February all the way to the first weekend in December. Every Saturday and many Friday nights and Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, softball tournament, travel ball.
Yep.
I mean, there'll be 27 teams this weekend. There'll be 34 teams next weekend. If you don't believe it, go out there and try to find a parking spot. But we just did a major renovation out there. We resealed and striped the parking lot. We put new lights up in the parking lot. And we put new lights up on all 5 fields at Woodland Park, and it's LED lights. And we've had so much positive feedback from these people that come from out of town and out of state. They said, you know what, this park's really nice. So you've got Choccolocco Park, you've got Woodland Park, and then, of course, like I said, the Chief Ladaga Trail brings in people from one end of the county to the other. It's a great place. If you don't have nothing to do on the weekend, it's your own fault, I'll tell you that.
And, of course, on up the way, things in Jacksonville progressively getting better. You got Jacksonville State University drawing in all these folks with the athletics. The football team has done tremendously well this season, made change in conferences and on the verge of winning a conference championship.
Well, the hiring of Rich Rodriguez really got people's attention, not only around here but around the country, because obviously he had been at West Virginia, at Michigan, at Arizona, and he comes to where? Jacksonville, Alabama? Are you kidding me? So that tells you JSU has really transitioned to a major university, and enrollment's at an all-time high. Dr. Don Killingsworth, the president's a good friend of mine, and let me tell you, I know the man personally. He is the right man for the job. He is doing a tremendous job leading those folks at JSU, and that's one of the brightest spots of the whole county is Jacksonville State.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Danny, we could talk all night, but the clock on the wall says we got 1 minute and 54 seconds, so I'm going to have to thank you for coming by, and, of course, always good to see you, and, of course, we greatly appreciate the commissioner's support of what we do with FNN.
Well, let me take a moment and tell you, Jim, thank you for what you do for these high school kids around this county. Nobody else does what you do, and let me tell you, it does not go unnoticed. We appreciate what you and your team, and it takes a team to do it, but we appreciate your team for helping to bring this to light.
Thank you, man.
All right.
We're going to grab a quick break. James will get the headset back on, and we'll be back for the second half. Coming up here on FNN.
The Calhoun County Commission, made up of J.D. Hess, Danny Shears, Fred Wilson, Carolyn Henderson, and Lee Patterson, ask you to take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. Beautiful parks, neighborhoods, recreational facilities, historic sites, and museums. Our citizens enjoy a high quality of life and strongly support the arts. If you are considering expanding or starting a new business, take a look at what Calhoun County has to offer. You will be glad you did.
About to begin the second half here at Richard Madden Basketball Court inside the gymnasium at White Plains High School. James Hardy and Jim Jacobs with you for our inaugural FNN basketball game of the week for the 2022-2023 season. And Jim, before we begin the second half, I would think that Oxford certainly, you would have to think, acquitted themselves very well on the road tonight in the first 2 quarters of play.
Yeah, I think the locker room message from Joel VanMeter to his kids is we want to keep doing what we're doing. Let's not get caught up in some of the chippy stuff. Let's quit talking and play basketball. And, of course, it's on White Plains now to find a way back from this 10-point deficit.
Now, this is the type of position, as far as being behind, that Oxford found themselves in Saturday, really for the entire ball game at Central Phoenix City. Now the challenge for them, how well can they play with a lead in the second half. So the Yellow Jackets will have the ball as Alexander pulls up from the elbow, no good. As the loose ball rebound goes into the Oxford bench out of bounds. And no indication, so they're going to just jump it up as far as the alternating possession arrow to White Plains.
So the Wildcats get the basketball and the opportunity to cut into this 10-point Oxford advantage.
And so what do you think White Plains needs to do as far as getting back in this ball game, Jim?
I think they've got to find their rhythm. I think the last 5 minutes or so of the quarter, they just didn't get their rhythm, and I'm sure that's what Coach Randall told him. He said, we got to go out here and we got to win the first 4 minutes of this second half.
Lobby cut off as he forces a shot, no good, on great defense by the Yellow Jackets. Anniston Memorial Funeral Home presents our third quarter of tonight's ball game. As Reeves kicks it out, here's the rainmaker for three. That's good for Allen.
Boy, that was a nice stroke.
I'll tell you what, it was raining outside all day today, and TJ Allen making it rain inside with all of those rain-making threes. Here's the three that pops out, no good for Lobby, as White Plains comes up empty on offense.
Joel VanMeter encouraging his kids on. He senses a chance to kind of get the kill shot here.
Alexander wanted to put some more offense on the board and couldn't do it as he misses on the pull-up jumper. White Plains down 13 as TJ Allen leading all scorers with a dozen. White Plains working their half-court offense, trying to find some way to break through the man-to-man as here's a good entry pass as the layup good for two as Daniel Williams powers home his first 2 points.
Great shot fake, got the defender up off his feet and then went up and made the little kiss off the glass, and White Plains needed that bucket.
This quarter, the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week presented by Anniston Memorial Funeral Home as Lewis comes up empty on that long 2-point jumper as VanMeter wants and gets a timeout.
VanMeter didn't like that shot choice, and he's going to talk to his kids, and let's see if we're doing a full or a 30 here. I think we're doing a 30.
That's right, and gives us just enough time to tell you more about Anniston Memorial Funeral Home. Mark and Holly Box and their staff at Anniston Memorial Funeral Home, Anniston Memorial Gardens, and Maple Grove Cemetery will work tirelessly to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. Visit them online at AnnistonMemorial.com or come by for a free pre-planning consultation at 3865 Highway 431 in Anniston. 6 minutes and a tiny bit of change left in the third quarter.
Baseline out for the Wildcats. Oxford's got a man-to-man, full court.
The man-to-man defense has been an issue for White Plains so far on offense tonight. As driving will be Wheeler as he gets it stripped, and a near turnover as Oxford was standing out of bounds as Jaden Lewis tried to reestablish position inbounds but couldn't do so.
Great shot fake idea there by Wheeler, but he might have been better off just going on up with it and trying to get fouled.
Here's the inbounds for White Plains as Rosario finding Wheeler as Bussey will now settle down the offense.
I'm surprised Rosario's got any ears left after the chewing he took from Coach Randall.
Here's top of the key, and Williams has Bussey for the three. That's off the mark, no good. As Oxford with the rebound and TJ Allen. Sanders back into the ball game as Reeves will dump it down to Lewis. Jaden Lewis drives, gets in the paint, and will go to the line for two. Let's see if that's either on the helping Barksdale or on Williams. I think they're going to call that on Daniel Williams on the push. So that'll be his first personal foul.
Jaden Lewis headed back to the stripe.
Jaden Lewis so far with 6 and make it 7 as he swishes the first free throw. Oxford's done pretty well so far at the free throw line. I don't think they've missed a free throw so far tonight, Jim.
Do you get the feeling that White Plains might have depended on Bussey a little bit much?
I think you may be onto something there, but that's where, early in the season you can kind of sort things out, see where you're at, and then make adjustments from there.
Absolutely.
Both free throws good for Lewis, as a deflected ball by Jalen Alexander, as an inadvertent whistle will stop play, and that allows Oxford to get Jordan Kelly into the ball game for Jaden Lewis to get him some rest after some solid third quarter minutes and an excellent, consistent ball game so far, rebounding and defense. So White Plains will have the basketballs. They'll have a substitution at the next whistle. In the ball game is Coleman Ray, as Barksdale with the ball. Gets cut off on the drive by Alexander for Oxford. Rosario with the ball. Clock down to 4:42 left in the third quarter. Ray trying to drive, gets cut off. As the pass nearly thrown away as Barksdale retrieves the loose ball. There's Wheeler finding the three for Barksdale. That is no good, as it pinballs around off the top of the backboard, and then Oxford comes up with the rebound by Brock Reeves. Here's Alexander with the pull-up three, no good. And the rebound going to White Plains as Rosario wants to push the tempo. They'll back it out as Ray open for the three ball, no. As the rebound gets tapped around out of bounds to Oxford. White Plains really can't buy anything right now, just not in rhythm really all night as far as their offense.
Yeah. There's been moments, but for the most part, it's been a little disjointed.
Luke Bussey back into the ball game as you have Dylan Barksdale for White Plains checking back out. Alexander at the point.
But these are the games that make you better.
So Oxford nearly turning it over at the midcourt stripe as here's the turnaround floater, no good for Caleb Sanders. As White Plains with the rebound as they want to push the tempo as Rosario makes the three. CJ Rosario with his first triple and a much-needed basket as we have a whistle and a timeout on the floor.
And VanMeter calls it.
Anniston Memorial Funeral Home presents our third quarter here on the FNN Basketball Game of the Week. And I believe this is a full timeout, and we'll take it with them here on the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week.
You understand how your business works, but you may not understand how insurance can work for your business. We have new businesses versus established in different industries. As most people know, that when you're going to an online company, you're calling a 1-800 number anytime you need anything. And if you have a local agent, then the local agent knows you and they understand the history. We can be there to help you out.
From White Plains High School as we debut the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week for the 2022-2023 season. James Hardy, Jim Jacobs, and the rest of our FNN crew here at Coach Richard Madden Basketball Court at the gymnasium at White Plains High School.
Double duty this week, man.
That's right, that's right. Hey, it's the crossover portion of the season when it comes to football postseason, and then the basketball season just getting underway as a couple of area rivals going at it, and we should have an outstanding game for you on Friday between a pair of Bulldogs in Class 4A.
Andalusia comes to town to take on unbeaten Anniston with a trip to the semifinals hanging in the wings.
Very much looking forward to that matchup on Friday as Alexander with the basketball. As the Oxford Yellow Jackets trying to extend their 10-point lead as Alexander thought about launching the three. Here's Reeves faking, picking up the dribble. Alexander will now accelerate into the paint and lays it up for two. Jalen Alexander with 6, but he's been rock solid so far at the point tonight. Really probably done his magic more so defensively tonight. White Plains needing to get some offense going. Actually just needing to get some momentum in general. As the Wildcats have the basketball down a dozen as Wheeler loses it. But there to pick it up is Bussey. Clock under 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Anniston Memorial Funeral Home presenting our third quarter. Bussey has to pass it out as Wheeler over to a teammate and Hines into the ball game. Here's Wheeler nearly traveling. Bussey with the basketball, gets double teamed, kicks it out to Wheeler for the three. No, as the rebound goes to Reeves. Reeves pushes the tempo and loses the basketball. Loose with the basketball that time was Brock Reeves as White Plains needs to make Oxford pay for that turnover. Rosario in the paint, dumps it down to Williams. Has to kick it back out. As here's the three for Rosario, short, no good. His own rebound as that is kicked out of bounds by Jayden Lewis back in the ball game. And there you see right in front of us Coach VanMeter doing some intense coaching as far as Oxford's defense as they have a 12-point lead with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. White Plains struggling on offense tonight as they have just 25 points for almost 3 quarters in their season opener.
It just looks like Oxford's defense has pushed White Plains into kind of playing one-on-one basketball when they've got it.
There's the floater. As Williams with the rebound. Quadruple teamed as he misses the putback. Gets his own rebound as the steal off of the strip by Alexander. Chris Randall wanting a foul, did not get one called. As Oxford will walk it up the floor. Alexander stops. As here's Callaway dumping it down to Lewis. He'll put it on the floor. Gets double teamed, fights through it. As no whistle and now a late whistle, and there's going to be 2 free throws off of the White Plains foul. Or check that, they'll say that it must
travel. He traveled. He had to travel.
Yeah, traveled with
Shuffled
the back.
his feet.
Must have just drugged that pivot foot and turning the ball over. So White Plains basketball as they're able to get a defensive stop, but once again needing to get a basket and get that momentum on their side and get the crowd in it as well. 1 minute, 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter as that pass deflected by TJ Allen out of bounds for Oxford. 2 substitutions as Jayden Lewis and Brock Reeves check back in for the Oxford Yellow Jackets.
You just have to be impressed with the way Oxford plays defense.
Very relentless so far tonight.
I mean, they challenge every passing lane. It doesn't matter where it is on the floor.
Here's the dribble for Bussey. Bussey with the left-hand dribble to Rosario. Under a minute to go, third quarter's Rosario runs into a defender, and as you mentioned, Jim, the offensive foul.
Yep, that's a charge.
No doubt about that.
Saw that one coming from here.
As Jordan Kelly was ready for that as well. So here's Oxford with the basketball as outstanding effort. In fact, diving almost head first that time was Bussey as he knocks the ball out of bounds. 46.9 seconds left third quarter. Anniston Memorial Funeral Home presents our third quarter. A big thanks to Mark and Holly Box and their staff at Anniston Memorial Funeral Home, Anniston Memorial Gardens, and Maple Grove Cemetery for their help as far as with high school basketball and FNN presenting our third quarter.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic Oxford mistake there. Throwing it away on the inbounds, just led him too much into the backcourt. White Plains will take over. And, you know, with 46 seconds left in this quarter, to only be down 12, it's pretty amazing.
There's a good pump fake by Barksdale as he'll have a chance for a three-point play.
And White Plains can draw this thing into single digits.
Absolutely, as we have a final. This is varsity boys basketball as Spain Park beating Jacksonville 69-55 as Jacksonville falls for the second time this year. Also a finals, Piedmont girls double up Ragland 48-24.
Dylan Barksdale at the line, misses it off the back, but White Plains Nope. Thought they were going to get the offensive rebound, but here comes Oxford with the last shot opportunity.
Jordan Kelly on that last foul on the possible three-point play for Dylan Barksdale. So for Kelly, that's his second personal foul. Clock under 25 seconds as a loose ball, and Oxford lucky to keep it. As here's the three ball up and no good for the Yellow Jackets. Loose ball rebound, still loose as it goes to Oxford. Ball still loose as it appears now that White Plains has the ball. Down to 4 as Bussey driving as Hill floated up and blocking foul called on the way to the basket.
So Bussey will go to the line.
I thought Bussey was going to get an offensive foul charged on him as he was just about out of control going down the lane. But instead, we'll get the blocking foul as it'll be Oxford picking up their third team foul. And I think, once again, that will be Jordan Kelly on the foul, and it is his third. In fact, Kelly took a hard fall that time, getting the full force of Bussey going right down the boulevard, down the middle of the lane. So we'll have checking out Paul Lobby and back into the ball game, Josh Wheeler. First 2 free throws. Up and good for Bussey.
Yep, it's Luke Bussey. Our graphic there says Daniel. Well, that's some of that dragonfly stuff.
There you go. So Luke Bussey with his second of 2, no good. As Bussey with 11, and we come to the end of the third quarter.
And can you believe we've got a 9-point basketball game? 37-28, the Jackets on top by 9 here on FNN.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the FNM Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
Fourth quarter, the final 8 minutes of our opening game for the 2022-2023 season, the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week, presented in part tonight by Calhoun County District 2 Commissioner Danny Shears, that we got to visit with during our halftime coverage. There you see Oxford that is just about led wire to wire tonight, 37-28. Both teams looking for their first victory of the season. Oxford at 0-1 coming in, and White Plains opening their 2022-2023 campaign. And Jim, even though White Plains has been on the short end of this 9-point deficit for most of the ball game, they're still not out of it, especially being at home.
No, absolutely. And, you know, you get a basket here, you get a 3-ball, you get a stop, you get another basket, and all of a sudden the crowd gets involved, and anything can happen. You're not going to win many basketball games with 28 points going into the fourth quarter, but both teams still, playing hard.
Here's a near steal for Bussey as Oxford with the basketball as Reeves bobbles it out of bounds. Let's see, they say off of White Plains. Must have been Bussey that just touched it last before going out of bounds.
Tell you what, this officiating crew, I think, has done a nice job tonight.
I agree 100% on that. In fact, both teams after tonight will be on the road, as Oxford will play Thursday at Plainview and also a Thursday trip to Pell City for White Plains. Here's Alexander trying to go one-on-one and blows by Barksdale as he'll have a chance for 2 free throws as he'll go to the line.
Boy, that was a wicked first step that he got baseline with, and just blew by the defender, and he's at the stripe now, and he'll shoot a couple.
Jim, if I didn't have my scorecard in front of me, you would fool me in telling me that Jalen Alexander is just a freshman. First of 2, no good on the free throw. Just watching Alexander, especially defensively in his athleticism, he has a lot of potential as far as his basketball playing career goes. Second free throw is good, so Alexander 1 of 2 from the line. Alexander with 7 points as the lead pushed out to 10 for Oxford. White Plains with the basketball. Time starting to become a factor as Lobby back in the ball game finds Bussey. Bussey met on that kind of matchup man-to-man defense. As Wheeler trying to drive and does so in the paint as he'll get his runner blocked, but contact in the lane and 2 free throws for White Plains.
So both teams open the fourth quarter with trips to the free throw line.
So they'll whistle the foul on Brock Reeves, his second personal foul, as the free throw good for Josh Wheeler. Wheeler with 6 points as Rosario back into the ball game. ZJ Rosario with 6 points as both free throws good for Josh Wheeler, who has 7. And we'll have a timeout called for, looks like, by Chris Randall in White Plains.
And look for White Plains to maybe come out of this and maybe go to some full court pressure. We've got a full timeout, so we'll take one as well here on FNN. Stay with us.
Dudley Miller, President of Cremation Services of East Alabama. You know, I've spent nearly 40 years in the funeral business, and over the years I have seen countless people struggle to pay the associated cost of services. So in 2015, my wife and I purchased this historic church in the White Plains community of Anniston, where we opened a funeral home dedicated to providing affordable funeral care. For example, a direct cremation is $8.95, which includes transportation up to 75 miles, filing the death certificate, state-required containers, providing notification to Social Security. Having served families throughout the entire state of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee, it has been proven that we can save you thousands of dollars off of your total cost of services. For more information, visit our website, alabamacrematory.com, or call us today to discuss your affordable funeral care options.
7:07 left in the fourth quarter as visiting Oxford with an 8-point advantage as they have led for the vast majority of tonight's ball game. Our FNN High School basketball debut for the 2022-2023 season as the ball blown in play as Oxford gets it in bounds.
And as expected, White Plains picking up full court.
Alexander trying to go up against that man-to-man defense by ZJ Rosario. Alexander with the pass as Reeves backs his way in, gets free, and he will get the layup to go for 2. Brock Reeves with his first points of the ball game. Oxford up to a 10-point lead as a loose ball, in fact, off of the foot that time of Barksdale, as the turnover for White Plains gives it over to Oxford. Unforced error for the Wildcats as Oxford trying to extend their 10-point lead. Allen dribbles, gets free, and lays it in for 2.
Coach VanMeter's got his kids going to the rim now, James.
TJ Allen leading all scorers with 14 points.
White Plains overplaying. What do? You drive to the basket.
Here's a high post for Williams. Back to the basket. Out to Wheeler. Finding Barksdale, who picks up the dribble. Handing it off to Wheeler. Under 6 minutes to go in the game. Here's getting free, Williams, as he'll throw it away. TJ Allen on the steal as Alexander will slow it down and work some clock as he crosses the timeline. He'll go in and he'll throw up a wild shot, no good, as that's a break for White Plains and a man down for White Plains. Barksdale gets back up, though, as he took a hard fall as the reverse layup is good for Josh Wheeler. Wheeler up to 9. Lead down to 10 for Oxford, as we'll have a deflected ball off of White Plains as Luke Bussey knocked it out of bounds. Checking in will be Deshaun Calloway for Oxford, the 5'10", 175-pound guard, a sophomore. Just one senior on Joel VanMeter's roster for Oxford this year. So a very young squad It's playing their first week or so of games on the road. Approaching 5 minutes left in the ball game. Reeves puts it on the floor, dumps it down smartly as the turnaround no good for Lewis. And White Plains gets a defensive stop. Busty with the basketball. He'll drive, kicks it out as we'll have a traveling violation on White Plains. Chris Randall showing his disapproval of that last call, but the Wildcats turn it over with 4:47 left in the ball game. Inbounds pass goes to Lewis as we'll have a whistle and a turnover for Oxford. I believe Oxford, when they were trying to inbound, traveled with the basketball. So an unforced error for the Yellow Jackets. Gives basically a free offensive possession for White Plains as Bussey will attack the basket, dumps it down to Williams as his shot is blocked by Jayden Lewis.
Man, Lewis got up fast.
Jalen Alexander with the basketball, now to Reeves. Under 4.5 to go. Reeves dumps it down to Lewis, who misses the chippy as the rebound goes to Daniel Williams for White Plains.
Big trip here for the Wildcats.
Here's Lobby as he'll try and drive against Caleb Sanders. Loses it almost out of bounds and now throws it away. Deshaun Callaway on the steal as Lobby gets it back. He'll have to float it up. No. As Williams with the rebound and the stick back is no good. As the bank shot misses and the rebound going to Oxford. As VanMeter for Oxford once and gets a timeout.
I think this is the timeout where we put it in the deep freeze.
Yeah, the 3:56 to go, that's exactly what Joel VanMeter, you figure, wants to do. Just slow things down, milk the clock, and get out of here with a W.
Yeah, you got a 10-point lead. You use the clock as your offensive ally, and you don't do anything but shoot layups.
Not sure. Chris Randall not exactly thrilled with some of the officiating down the stretch as he is giving the officials a piece of his mind. I'm just glad I'm up here as far as some of the abuse that the officials are taking here during the timeout.
But both these coaches are vocal. They're both known to get after the Zebras.
But I tell you, if you're a player as far as both of these teams, you definitely want your head coach sticking up for you, though, as far as pleading your cause.
There you see Joel VanMeter working with his 5 on the floor as they sit during the timeout. Over on the other end of the floor, Chris Randall doing the same with the Wildcats. If they've got anything in them, James, it's got to start happening now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a window for opportunity for White Plains, but if Oxford does not make mistakes, they should be able to come down to the finish line and get the W tonight. White Plains playing their season opener as they'll be on the road Thursday at Pell City. And for Oxford, this is the first of 3 true road games in a row to begin the season. They'll be on the road again at Plainview on Thursday.
And that'll be a tough matchup. Plainview, of course, a perennial powerhouse in the state.
Under 4 minutes to go as Sanders retrieves the loose ball. As Reeves for the 3. No, as the rebound goes to White Plains. A quick 3 that time by Oxford. As here's Rosario kicking to Lobby. Back to Rosario. Long 3 ball. That's no good. I don't think that's the shot that Chris Randall wanted for White Plains, as Alexander will just walk it up the floor. Alexander pulls up and shoots from 14 and scores.
And that stretches it to 12.
And it's going to be a long uphill battle now for White Plains just to get back in this game. 3 minutes to go as the ball stripped from behind by Caleb Sanders. Aggressive hands by the junior guard and Sanders for Oxford as the Yellow Jackets just want to use up some more clock. Here's Allen. That penetrates, lays it up. No. As the loose ball goes to Lewis, he misses the layup as the rebound going to White Plains and Daniel Williams. White Plains needs a lot of points in a hurry here as we're down to 2.5 to go. As penetrating Bussey forces it up, no. As the rebound to Williams, he lays it up, no. Gets his own rebound, puts it back up, that's no good. Loose ball, a fight for it, still a fight for it. As it's down along the baseline, and they'll call a tie-up, a jump ball, as it's going to stay on this end of the floor for White Plains as Josh Wheeler back into the ball game for the Wildcats. So far, it is TJ Allen leading all scorers with 14. Luke Bussey leading White Plains with 11 as Wheeler makes the three. Josh Wheeler up to a dozen. 9-point ball game as we approach 2 minutes left in the ball game. Reeves gets bumped and now the whistle blown and a foul on Josh Wheeler. So it appears that White Plains needs 3 more fouls to get it to the 1-and-1 bonus situation, as that's just the 4th team foul of this half for the Wildcats. Alexander inbounds at the White Plains bench, as Allen will hand it back off to Alexander. Finds Sanders across the timeline. As Alexander will now control the point. Here's Allen, shoots and misses the three, exactly what White Plains wanted. So White Plains can cut it to 6 with a 3 as Bussey picks up the dribble. Backdoors Rosario's, his floater is good. ZJ Rosario now up to 8 points. There's full court pressure for White Plains and an immediate foul for Josh Wheeler.
Got to extend the game.
So that's 5 team fouls with 1:24 left in the ball game. So a 7-point lead for Oxford, as turnovers cost Oxford down the stretch in their season opener against Central Phoenix City. As a foul along the baseline goes to Bussey. The crowd thought that Alexander traveled with the basketball, but no travel called by our officiating crew, as that'll be the first personal on Luke Bussey. 1:21 left. Next foul would bring Oxford into the 1-and-1. And there's the foul going on Paul Lobby, his 2nd personal foul, as he got the reach-in foul, and that should bring us to the opposite end for the 1-and-1. 1:21 left in the ball game, our very first FNN high school basketball game of the week. We'll be not too far from here at Lott Mosby Memorial Stadium on Friday night, 6:30 hour airtime for a powerhouse Class 4A matchup between Anniston and Andalusia.
As TJ Allen toes the line and misses, Oxford gets the rebound, and
I think they'll say it's an over-the-back foul indeed on Jaden Lewis. Lewis fighting hard for that rebound, but going over a White Plains player over the back.
White Plains can cut it to 4.
If they can get the 3 ball as Bussey breaks out of the trap, as here's Wheeler for the 3. No, as Reeves with the rebound for Oxford. Brock Reeves nearly loses the ball and steps on the baseline. Oxford losing a little composure coming down the stretch, as they do have a 7-point lead, but White Plains with the basketball. Here's Rosario faking out to Wheeler. He'll drive, kicks it down to Barksdale, gets free, shoots, and scores on the layup.
And Coach Randall will use one of his 2 remaining timeouts.
So the lead down to 5 for Oxford, as White Plains not out of it yet, Jim.
Yep, we're 54 seconds left.
Now they still have to foul because, remember, no shot clock for high school basketball. This is a full timeout, so let's go ahead and take the timeout with them here on the FNN High School Basketball Game of the Week.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is the home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99, then bring it for free refills throughout the year. And save every day with your Grub Mart Super Saver card. When you're on the go, it's good to know Grub Mart has everything you need. Gas, diesel, and delicious Oleo donuts. In business over 78 years, visit your local Grub Mart today.
What has been a 12-point lead has shrunk to 5, and we're inside a minute to play here in the fourth quarter at White Plains. As there you see the score on the screen. The Jackets up by 5, 44-39 over the Wildcats.
In fact, it was a dozen that you mentioned, Jim, for Oxford. A 12-point lead at just the 2.5-minute mark left here in the fourth quarter. Oxford with the basketball, trying to force a turnover here as they're down 5. As Sanders picks up the basketball and finds Alexander. Clock down to 40 seconds, and now a foul whistled on Rosario. ZJ Rosario his first, and now Oxford's composure is going to be tested here at the free throw line for what will be a 1-and-1 on the 9th team foul for White Plains. An early season test on the road for Oxford as the free throw.
Caleb Sanders knocks it down. He'll get a second chance.
His first free throw as he has 3 for the ball game.
There you see it on the screen, 40 seconds left.
Would make this a 3-possession game as he misses the free throw, but Allen with the offensive rebound as he'll go for 2 free throws as he gets fouled by Josh Wheeler. That is a clutch offensive rebound that time by TJ Allen as he has an opportunity possibly to salt this game. Still a 6-point lead, so a 2-possession ball game, but TJ Allen could help the Yellow Jackets' cause with a couple of free throws. Makes the first, this will have another one coming.
Shot is up and good.
So Allen with 15. Leading all scores. You'll have a couple of Oxford Yellow Jackets players come off of the rebounding line. Allen will make both free throws. T.J. Allen with 16 points, down to 35 seconds, and a traveling violation as shuffling the feet, trying to shoot the ball was Z.J. Rosario. 34.8 seconds left in tonight's ball game. White Plains getting their season off the ground so far for 2022-2023. And the second game of the year for Oxford. Here's Reeves collecting the inbounds pass. Clock down to 30 seconds. Still no foul as Sanders with the ball. Now Oxford breaks the timeline as Allen gets fouled. Marcus Perry checking into the ball game at the last timeout. As we're down to 23.4 seconds to go, as we'll have an offensive-defensive substitution coming up for Oxford as Jaden Lewis, who's had a good ball game so far defensively and rebounding, will check back in. As the first free throw, no good for TJ Allen. Allen in and Perry out for Oxford. Looks like Rosario back in for White Plains as making 1 of 2 is TJ Allen. 17 for Allen. Bussey picks it up as we're down to 20 seconds left in tonight's game. Here's Bussey for the 3 ball, no, as the rebound to Lewis. As he'll get swarmed by 4 players and fouled to go to the line for 2. 14.1 seconds to go. It's a feisty effort down the stretch for White Plains to make it a 5-point game, but Oxford's defense and really just their athleticism kind of overwhelmed White Plains tonight.
Yeah, you know, White Plains they've got 39 points now. They had, 25 at the half?
Yes.
I think it was 25 at the half. You know, 39's not a bad offensive output for a high school game.
But really, they never got in rhythm in the half court.
Yeah, the rhythm just never came for the for the offense throughout the night.
It'll be Rosario fouling out. As ZJ Rosario will exit the ball game with 8 points tonight for the White Plains Wildcats as Lewis makes the first of 2. Jaden Lewis with 9 has an opportunity to get into double figures scoring-wise, and he'll do so. Rock solid ball game for Jaden Lewis as he has 10. Clock down to 11 as Wheeler picks up the dribble to Bussey. Shoots the NBA 3, no, as the rebound goes to Brock Reeves. And Oxford will pick up win number 1 on the 2022-2023 campaign, 50-39. The Oxford Yellow Jackets defeat the homestanding White Plains Wildcats. We'll take this timeout and begin our postgame after this.
You understand how your business works, but you may not understand how insurance can work for your business. We have new businesses versus established in different industries. As most people know, that when you're going to an online company, you're calling a 1-800 number anytime you need anything. And if you have a local agent, then the local agent knows you and they understand the history. We can be there to help you out.
I'm Mark Box. I've been a part of the funeral industry for over 25 years. As a funeral professional, serving others is an integrated part of my life. It's been a privilege helping families in many ways throughout my career. As the owner of Anniston Memorial Funeral Home, Anniston Memorial Gardens, and Maple Grove Cemetery, I would like each of you to know that my staff and I are here to serve each of you during your time of need. We want you to feel comforted and honored as we memorialize the life of your loved one. I am grateful for the opportunity to give back within Calhoun County and our local communities. It is our hope and prayer that each family we meet feels cared for and loved.
The season opener for White Plains in the books as Oxford comes out of it with their first win of the season, improving to 1-1, a 50-39 win on the road at White Plains, as we'll send it down to our Jim Jacobs with victorious head coach Joel VanMeter for Oxford.
Well, Coach, when I talked to you before the game, I said, let's go have some fun. I don't know if that's fun or not.
Oh, that's fun, man. That's what Chris said. That was fun. You know, it's just an absolute war. I mean, you're talking about two teams who are trying to figure themselves out and play for play, just going at each other. And, you know, that's all you can ask from your team. That's all he could ask for his team. And we were lucky enough that the ball bounced our way a couple times more than it did for him.
Joel, I thought that really throughout the game, I thought you guys maybe played with just a little bit more poise.
Well, we're young. And, you know, there were a couple of times where I thought we lost our poise a little bit, or maybe didn't lose our poise but didn't understand the moment. But I thought we did a great job. When you got the ball in Zero's hands, you're always going to look good as a coach. And then guys stepped up. Jaden Lewis, I thought, played great. TJ Allen's really coming along and becoming a much better player. We got great bench play from Jordan Kelly and Deshaun Callaway, and just happy and proud for the way that we competed.
It seemed like in the fourth quarter when they maybe were starting to try to find a comeback in them, you saw that they were overplaying and told your kids, hey, we want to go to the rim.
Yeah, you know, you get in that situation, you know, they want to pick up the pressure a little bit, make a couple of things happen. But again, you know, it wasn't a whole lot of what I did. You know, Zero goes and makes some plays. TJ Allen goes and makes some plays. Brock Reeves made a couple of nice plays. So, you know, those guys going out and doing what we're trying to teach them to do, and they were able to execute.
Doesn't get any easier next. Plainview's coming up.
Yeah, we go to their place Thursday night. You know, they won't have any sympathy for us. Robbie's one of my best friends, just as Chris, and I got so much respect for those guys. Got so much respect for Chris, and it's just fun playing. It's fun building your team and going against guys who you know are doing the same thing, and it just lets us know where we are, and we're going to come in tomorrow and try to get a little bit better.
Thanks for giving us a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Coach VanMeter, as Oxford picks up win number 1 for the basketball season, 2022-2023 season, as the Oxford Yellow Jackets defeat the White Plains Wildcats 50-39. White Plains falls to 0-1 on the season. As looking at some of the unofficial totals for tonight, you had T.J. Allen leading all scorers with 17. Jaden Lewis, a solid effort all around with 10 points. Also 9 for Jalen Alexander, 3 for Caleb Sanders, 7 for Deshaun Callaway, and 2 each for Jordan Kelly and Brock Reeves for Oxford. For White Plains, you had a dozen for Josh Wheeler, 11 for Luke Bussey, and then 8 points for Z.J. Rosario, 4 for Dylan Barksdale, and a couple for Paul Lobby and Daniel Williams in a 50-39 loss to Oxford tonight. Now, for White Plains, they'll be on the road Thursday at Pell City, and Oxford remains on the road, as Jim and Coach VanMeter talked about, Thursday at Plainview. But Jim, before we go, if you're Coach VanMeter, as he kind of expressed, you have to feel really good about coming into really a tough environment on the road at White Plains and coming out with almost a wire-to-wire win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that, as far as gyms to play in go, they don't get any tougher than this place. When the crowd gets going and you know the team's doing well, this place is pretty raucous.
And I know something that Coach VanMeter mentioned to me during the week is he set up his schedule to prepare his team for area play, and especially for a team this year for Oxford that has just one senior, and this is really it's early in the season, still a long way to go for all of the teams in the state of Alabama, but for this young, inexperienced Oxford team, a big step forward for them throughout the rest of the year.
Hey, that's going to wrap it up for us. First basketball game of the year is in the books. We've got more of them coming up for you. I think we're next December the 3rd if our schedule holds true, and that ought to be a good one as well as we set up the schedule for I think we're going to do at least 12 this year and a tournament, a county tournament as well. So all of that is ahead. Just watch our social media sites, and we'll keep you posted on where we'll be for our next basketball telecast. I can guarantee you where we'll be Friday night. There you go. Andalusia and Anniston from Lot Mosby Memorial Stadium. FNN's coverage starts at 6:30 with our countdown to kickoff. Ball is on the tee and in the air at 7 p.m. You can watch it all on the NFHS network. A modest subscription is required. Make sure you log in to our site and take care of that before Friday so that you're all set for what should be, James, a classic. But, hey, when you're into the quarterfinals, they're all supposed to be great.
Oh, we saw that last year as far as the deeper and deeper. And even last week, once you get into the playoffs, you know that everybody that's still playing football this time of the year is a talented, outstanding football team.
For all of our crew here tonight that has braved the rain and slippery roads and everything, there you see their names on the screen. Seth Malasano on the cameras, along with Alonzo Kirby and Garrett Lloyd. Jake Jacobs producing behind the computer. For James Hardy on the play-by-play, I'm Jim Jacobs, bidding you a good night from the Palace at White Plains High School. We'll see you Friday night from Lot Mosby Memorial Stadium here on the Friday Night Network.